Okay, hi Year 11, Mrs Shanahan here. So we're going to just do some preparation work for 6-mark questions on paper 2. So I've chosen this one. It's an old mock exam, so it's just got a little bit of stuff on here, just ignore that. Let's have a look at this question. Let's think about what we would need to be writing down if we got asked this a week on Monday, which is the 9th of June. That's when paper 2 is. So hormones, which are chemical messengers, can be used as part of assisted reproductive technology. Explain, which is tell the examiner, how assisted reproductive technology, shortened down to ART, can be used to increase the chance of a woman becoming pregnant. And it's a 6-mark question. So let's have a think about what we need to be saying. So if I was writing an answer here, your assisted reproductive technology really includes 2 things. So you've got clomiphene, which is a fertility drug, and you've got IVF, in vitro fertilization. And really the examiner is looking for you at talking about those 2 forms of assisted reproductive technology. So first of all, if I was writing my 6-mark question, so we've got clomiphene therapy is a fertility drug. So we're just sort of making that statement first of all. And then we need to say what it does. So it causes the pituitary gland. So this is a difficult word to spell, so do make sure you learn how to spell it. So that is found in your brain. And clomiphene therapy will cause the pituitary gland to release or secrete more FSH, which should be written in capital letters, and LH. Now, you don't actually need to know what these stand for. You can just refer to them as FSH and LH. This is follicle stimulating hormone, and this is luteinizing hormone. And then we need to say what the effects of that would be. So having more FSH would mean that more eggs mature. So more FSH means more eggs mature in the ovary. And if you have more LH, then you have more chance of ovulation occurring. So more LH, and remember, capital letters, means more chance of an egg being released. So it gets released from the ovary into the oviduct. So more LH means more chance of an egg being released from the ovary into the oviduct, because sometimes people think it goes straight into the uterus, which it doesn't. It goes into the oviduct, and then you have ciliated epithelial cells which will waft backwards and forwards and move that egg, and eventually it ends up in the uterus. This is called ovulation. So ovulation is when an egg is released into the oviducts, and that happens once a month. So that's your clomiphene therapy, and then we need to talk about IVF. So IVF, and that stands for in vitro fertilization. It basically means in a petri dish, in a lab. So in vitro fertilization. So what happens, there's a lot of onus on the woman here really. So eggs are removed from the mother's ovaries. So again, you can write as bullet points. So eggs are removed from the mother's, or the mother-to-be. So they call it that in the exam. So you can just say the woman's if you prefer. So in the mother or woman's ovary. We have a sperm sample taken from, so you can either say from the father or from the male. Taken from the father or the male. And then what would happen is in a lab, in a petri dish, the sperm and the egg would be placed together in a petri dish, or sometimes the sperm is injected into the egg. And obviously we would want fertilisation to occur. Now I have a bit of a bugbear when people write about fertilisation, because people talk about egg and sperm meeting as if like they're having a date or something. So you do need to say that the sperm will fuse and join with the egg. So it's actually the nucleus from the sperm that moves into the egg cell. So that is fertilisation, and that forms what is called a fertilised egg cell or a zygote. So we'll write that down. So sperm sample taken from the father or the male. So the sperm and egg are mixed. So the sperm and egg are mixed in a petri dish. So that's Petri. And this forms a zygote. So it's a fertilised egg cell or a zygote. And we spell fertilise with an S. The Americans spell it with a Z, but we spell it with an S. So sperm and egg are mixed in a petri dish, forming a fertilised egg cell. And then that fertilised egg cell will be allowed to divide by mitosis, and it will form an embryo, which is then placed into the uterus. Sorry, this is someone's paper who's struggled on that one there. Just get rid of that. So where are we up to here? Form a fertilised egg cell. So this divides, and that type of cell division is mitosis, because you're just making identical cells at this point, to form an embryo, which is a ball of cells, and that is inserted into the woman's uterus. So there's a lot of surgery, a lot of procedures for the female here involved. And really that's what you need to be writing down for 6 marks. So this is assisted reproductive technology, talking about clomiphene therapy, and make sure you can spell it correctly, clomiphene with an E on the end, and IVF, which is in vitro fertilisation. So if you get anything on that, hopefully that will help. All right, cheers guys. See you all soon.